Hello. I've been away from the camera creator mode for the last 7 weeks. And during those 7 weeks, it's about 6.5 weeks, and during those 6.5 weeks, we've been building a product called Typo. And just about 2 months ago, so like 8 weeks ago, I found out I'm having another baby. I was in Europe and I was moving my family over to Paris to work with my team to launch Typo, to kick off Typo. And so creating videos was difficult. But I think the biggest thing that was hindering me from doing it was my own, hindrances, self-doubt, distraction, all of those different things that kind of allowed me to put it off and put it off continually. But now that I'm back in the United States and still heads down building, I see my camera and I'm like, I need to bring that everywhere I go, and I need to start documenting and releasing a video at least once a week. And the primary reason for this is the process of doing it and committing to it and following through on it and iterating and improving on it has so much value, whether or not it's directly from gaining an audience or even being heard. Just the value of learning how to speak better, learning how to utilize gear, understanding the experience of being a creator, and sharing my message like that. That's it. So here I am, pressing play and deciding what to say as I go. And another piece that has been limiting me in the hindrance side is the lack of clarity and not feeling like I know exactly what I'm supposed to be speaking about or what my gift is. Like, what do I have to offer? Should I be teaching systems? I still am learning. Should I be teaching health and well-being? I'm still learning. Should I be teaching business and money? I'm still learning. But I feel this like orbiting, like resurfacing sort of urge and whisper of getting involved in this. So I'm going to make this video, I'm going to post this video, and just commit. But yeah, my product is done, and now I'm to the point where I'm just making sure I love it and then making sure my friends and family love it, just one person at a time. And I officially love it, and I use it, and I'm about a week into using it. And now I'm starting to show it to a few people, and I think people are starting to get it. And I'm just going to make sure it's perfect for them, they love it, and then we'll start to worry about some type of collaborations, and doing like outreach and onboarding will start to scale. So that's the plan. I also am self-funding this, and in the next 2 months or so, I need to start raising money. And I'm hoping to do it more like angel round, friends and family, because I don't want to deal with like the undertaking of a fundraise, and I'm not quite sure if I want to sell that much equity where I'm all of a sudden like committed to this like continual chasing of profit. And that's what going, the VC route is you're going to the IPO route, which is then you have shareholders and board members, and the goal is to make more money all the time, which still is kind of a goal, right? But I want to make sure that we're going at it in a way that feels really intuitive and authentic, and just like it feels like our values are at top of mind as well. And I think that's possible to still go public and do that, but I think it makes it harder. So I'm trying to stay a little nimble right now, where I'm like, if I can just bootstrap and get a product and then raise some small capital and get the product to have some market traction, I'll at least be in a better position to do a VC raise, and to pick and choose, and I'll have time to kind of prepare how I want that all to look, cap table, board rules, like all the things, like how does it look? And it also gives me time to try to make revenue. And if I can make revenue and it scales at the rate I'm predicting it to scale, which I'll get into, I could potentially be paying for my entire staff and myself better than I would if I was funded. Because if you're funded, you can pay yourself like a fair salary. I think like 5 or 10 years ago, Peter Thiel said that a fair salary, he doesn't want to see a founder paying themselves more than 150K. Since then, inflation has increased the need to spend, at probably twice that capacity, if not more. So I would say that 300K is like what you need to like live above your means. Because just groceries and like car payment and auto supportive things, insurance, gas, maintenance, just that is like 2 to 3 to 4 grand, and obviously you can choose you can eat like Cheerios and rice and beans and try to be less, but like I like to have like decent variety of groceries. I like them to be organic, and so it cost me like 2 grand, like 1,500 for food, 2 grand a month, and then place to stay, car. That's another like 4 to 6 grand depending on where you live. Yeah, and then like 2 or 3 thousand to save, and 2 or 3 thousand to invest, and miscellaneous, and it comes out to probably needing 300K a year, especially if your partner's a stay-at-home mom, which is my goal to keep it that way. So, but if my company has 1 million users, if my platform has 1 million users and we're bootstrapped, let's say 5% of those pay $20 a month for AI, Pro, all the benefits. 5% of the users, which is kind of like a standard with SaaS. And yeah, like I'm curious what Notions is, but let's say 5%. $20, 5%. That's basically $1 a user, because 5% times 20, 25% roughly. It's like 5x, like divided by 5. So if someone's paying $20, I think that's 5. Anyways, let's say, wow, bad with math. Okay, so $20 per user, 5% of the users pay for that. 20 times 5 is 100. So that's how it's $1 per user. So basically, if I have 1 million users and then 50,000 of them pay me $20 a month, that's 2 times 5, which is 10. Yeah, that's $1 million a month off of 50,000 people. I'll have to do the math there. But the point is if I was making like 150,000 a month and I had like a team of 10 people, let's say, I could pay myself way more than if I go the VC route and I'm stuck in this like 30K a month bracket at most. And then you have to like work out bonuses and things. And I don't know, like maybe we want to get acquired at 80 million. VCs want a unicorn, otherwise it's kind of a loss. And so I want to be in a position where I can say, yes, we want to be acquired, we want to partner and merge with something. I just want to be in a position to have like that ability, at least for now, until it becomes more clear, and then I'll keep making steps towards where I need to go. So anyways, that's where Typo's at. I need to make sure that 5 people love it in the next 7 days. That's kind of like, because then I can understand these different use cases, different age brackets, different professions, different interests, different kind of demographics. And then I'll start to hyper-focus, and then I'll create some influencer collabs. And then I'll start to like kickstart my network for like back-end strategic partnerships and tech relationships with like big tech investors and founders and stuff. So we'll start to like seed into that. But right now I'm very much just like getting out of the let's at least make the product work and let's prove that we can do it. And I'm moving out of that idea and make it work world. And I'm landing into the big blue ocean of competition and make it now that it works, make it work amazingly well. And starting to get product market fit and starting to see if people are willing to pay for like the pro version. So it's a lot. And I realized the other day that there's not anyone else that's thinking about these things to the same level, because right now I'm like the founder. And so when it comes to marketing, when it comes to funding, when it comes to burn rate, when it comes to organization and systems and even the product as a whole, no one's coming to save me. No one's here to do that. Obviously, I have an amazing team, and some of those will probably become like founding team members, because to me they are, and we just haven't had that conversation yet. But they're paid, and I'm not, and so that's just the way it is. The position of everything. It's just gotten to that point where I'm like, oh, this will only survive if I give it my all, and even if I give it my all, not everything works out. And so I have to kind of accept it. I have to kind of prepare for it. And in reality, even accepting that you could fail, even if you try your hardest, you know the whole big picture, which you know you're going to grow and you know you're going to work through it. And then also you realize it's such a responsibility. So you actually work harder by accepting the risks and the reality. So now I've been feeling more fierce and more focused towards like, okay, what tasks am I doing today? And which of these tasks are actually moving me forward? And when I do these tasks, am I going all the way and taking them from start to finish so that they truly receive the impact? It's kind of like maximizing the input so that the output takes that energy and ideally compounds and expands. But at the least it receives that energy, so you're not wasting time, So very adamant about finding where I'm kind of cutting corners, very adamant about finding out where I don't allow myself the time to get clarity, and taking time to allow myself to basically, how do I put this? Yeah, make sure I don't have distractions and make sure that I'm effective and like potent with my effort. And then over time with experience and taking time before you act or react, that allows you to have a slightly more calculated prediction on your output. So then you can align your input to that calculated output, and you're more often correct. Because everything I do becomes, the outcome of that doing. And for example, if I make a deck and I half-ass it, you are going to receive less energy out from the output than you put on the input, and you already put very low input on the input. But if I put a lot of energy onto the input and I calculate it properly, then that output could potentially be exponential. And that's the goal with a deck, right? You don't want to waste your time making a deck and it goes nowhere. You want to put all of your presence and all of your knowledge and all of your effort into making a deck so that it goes beyond what you can even fathom. That's the goal, right? And the more you can predict that and hyper refine that tension and that crossway, that bridge between energy in and out, the more you can predict that and hyper potentize that, the better leader you are, the better business person you are. So we've started to break down what a typo profile is. And rather than saying like, oh, you can do anything, you can store things for your private and personal and public life, and it can be a Linktree alternative, it can be a Docs or Notion alternative, it can be like your website and be like your community page, and it can be all these things. It can be all those things, but what we're going to do instead is just say, well, when you look at the average creator, they have their socials, and then they have their websites and their link trees, and then they have their offerings and their checkouts and their capture tools. So it's like profiles, and then like bridges and digital presence, and like gateways to offerings and products. And so how can we support that with a single click? You make your account and boom, you already have your map. And we believe that what's going to separate Typo from all these other tools that are creating tiles or creating quick profiles and creating really nice documents and pages to collaborate on or whatever. We think that we're going to stand out because we resonate with the human life. So the human has these personal areas. They have these personal private areas, interests, things. And then they have their public personas and their presence and how they interact with the world and with individuals and in groups. And then they have their professional areas, things they're doing to make money, things they're doing to kind of organize their life and progress. And so if our tool kind of sits in the middle of that and understands how that works, if we kind of get that trifecta correct, that's kind of how I believe we're going to make it. And I don't see a single tool out there that does it. The closest is Notion, and it's very much just like back end, like a little private, a little bit professional, but it doesn't have that social ability. Like sharing a siloed link to me is just not that, it's not innovative. You can do that with Google Docs, you can do that with any type of document tool. The beauty is when it's connected to everything else that defines you, and it can be collaborative, and it's easier to use. Like if I showed Notion to my mom, there's no way she's gonna get it. And so that's kind of one of the other pieces of this architecture, is it needs to be very user-friendly, feels almost more like social, or like iOS. So we're finding that balance, and we're building the foundation of what we predict based on our experience and based on our vision, what we predict the foundation will be and the core functions. And for us, it's this profile map where it's kind of like you have your profile, and then you have these sections on your first page, which are about, projects, and then maybe like articles or insights, and then daily journals, and then contact. And so we figured out how, with our MVP, you can do all of that. And those have individual pages for the individual insights, a gallery for all of them. And so it's like these triple tier. I'll put the image up right there. But anyways, and then on the other side, you have drafts. And drafts, you'll have stuff for like planning and errands and tasks, documents, ideas, and sharing things, solo and collaborative. And then you'll have like projects and just like PRDs and different things like that. So you have kind of like the stuff you would do in Notion or in Google Docs, kind of like the drafts areas. And then you can move those into public zones, or you can keep them behind. And you can even make private draft pages public, kind of like how you would share a link of Notion or Docs. So it kind of does all those things at once. And then we'll introduce form tile, so you can capture data and sell things, and gated pages, and then time blocks, which will allow you to kind of share like roadmaps, calendars, events, kind of track what you're doing, track what your team's doing. We have a really cool view of timeline we're working on. And yeah, so that's the core product. And then everything else from there, we have like PRDs for so many different features. And we're ready to build. Like we have full plans for AI, really powerful context between, you can utilize pages and the content on them platform-wide for context. So instead of going into the memory and adding what you want and then improving it, someone could just make a really good page prompt, like template for a specific thing, and you could just tag that page and you're good to go. So stuff like that, like social prompt sharing, like social prompt design, context engineering, basically. Being able to add any type of file or create any type of file, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful tile that you can send as an individual link. You can download it back to the file form it is, or you can post it into a page or send it in a chat. So it just makes everything like beautiful tiles. And the AI can generate it, or you can generate it, and then you can regenerate it with the AI. So if you said and like a lot in a video or a voice note, theoretically we would be able to edit that in the platform. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves there. You can use other AI tools and just add that into the pages for now. It's not a big deal. But yeah, we have like all these plans for all these different tools such as that. But we're going to let the audience and the creators that use our platform guide us from this core foundation. So we have like the base foundation of what the average human will need for their like ecosystem. And then we'll start to add features based on what we ask and discover along the way. So pretty nimble. I think it's Facebook who had this whole thing of like, we plan a month ahead, and like 5 years ahead, we don't really plan like beyond that. And I feel like that's pretty good way to listen to your audience. Is like, hey, we're booked up for the next month because of all the stuff we learned about from last month from you guys. But other than that, we're not going to determine the month after until this month, So that's the way we do it, just naturally. Our systems are super dialed, and we're starting to understand if our product is loved and used and people would pay for it and use it. That'll take the next, 2 to 8 weeks to really dial and understand. And then we're starting to prepare for how we would do marketing. So, which will just be collaborations with creators, showing them how they can create their account and then showing their audience how they did it and how they could do it too. Because really, in 5 minutes, I can create someone's private, public, and professional sphere, and it's ready to go, and it's free. And that's pretty crazy. And especially when we introduce the ability to monetize within those same 5 minutes and to share at new levels exponentially once we introduce more tiles and utilities and then AI and then social like following and posting and feed and all of that. Like, it's going to be crazy. So it's this whole thing. So it's a lot, and I just haven't been able to make videos. And on top of all that, I've been really going heads on with my anxiety and just like any tension in my body, in my mind, and understanding like, what is it, where am I at, and what do I need to do to try to error correct and figure out what's causing the issues, what like root issues are they, or what daily patterns are holding me back from progressing and feeling better. So I've been doing these like foundation training. It's inside my typo on how to heal my back and musculoskeletal system. I've been just utilizing typo more to share all of those things. So anyways, I've been working a lot on my body and in my mind, and I'll find myself in public where there's a moment where I'll have the same sensations that cause me anxiety, but I'll be able to kind of step back and watch them and be like, it's all good. You got to just stay calm. It doesn't matter. This is just that thing. Let's just watch it. What's causing it? How's my posture? How's my breath? Wow, that thing's still here. Oh, it's fading. Oh, where'd it go? Like, rather than like, oh my gosh, I feel anxiety. What's wrong with me? Oh, I don't feel good. That's how I used to do it. And so I've been working on that, and it's been really, really good. Like, life-changing. So it's one of the main reasons I've felt called to make a channel is getting to the way of expressing the anxiety and the like challenges in my life and being able to be like, if anyone else has this, here's what's working for me. And also, I can't believe you're dealing with this too, because it feels like I'm alone in this. And, whether it's connected to trauma or just like body imbalances or overworking or stress or being neurotic or bad luck or something wrong with my body. I don't know. Like, it's all these things that could be causing it. But surely someone else has that, right? So I've been like trying to figure out how to approach that. So yeah, I encourage you to make a typo, and please reach out to me if you have any questions in my typo. Thanks. Love you guys. Bye.